Well, hello and welcome to WNRD, episode 7. Once again, I'm Michael Diaz and I'm here with
Alan Lugo.
And this week we're going to focus on 2017, what we're most geeked about.
2016, we just had the year in review episode, and it was even hard for us in that episode to not talk about the things we're excited about for 2017, so that brings us to where we are today.
Exactly. First thing I want to touch on, revisit 2016 just for a minute. I finally saw Rogue One for a second time.
Yep, so have I, so we've both seen it twice now.
Yep. My initial reaction was that I liked it just as much, if not more so, than I did the first time.
It was equal for me because I liked it a lot the first time.
Right.
So what were the main things that you noticed or keyed in on more the second time?
Well, what we talked about before was, when I saw it the first time, I thought that the first half felt slow.
I kind of did too.
And because I think the first time I'm sitting there, I'm waiting to be wowed.
Yeah, you're with bated breath, right, on the edge of your seat, waiting for something to happen.
Exactly. I mean, it's new Star Wars. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I have an idea. It's all anticipation, and then it's done, and you're like, okay, I loved it, but I was waiting for so long. Now that I saw the movie, I knew it was coming, so I was able to just enjoy the scenes.
Yeah.
It's still slow, but it's not slow. It's not as slow as I thought it was.
Right. Yeah, and I took that time to dive in more, to listen to dialogue. You mentioned a little bit about the relationship between Baze and Chirrut.
Yes.
So I paid attention to that more. I looked at the detail of a lot of the aliens in the background and the spaceships. I kind of just took time to nerd out on that in those slow moments while I was absorbing all the other stuff.
And not to jump too much into it, but Baze and Chirrut at the end, now they've seen it twice, that's my favorite relationship in the film.
Yeah, when you mentioned, I won't hit it over the head too much, but when you mentioned what you had mentioned the last episode, it made me want to pay attention more, and it seemed more clear on the second watching between those two.
I have to admit, on the second viewing, when those two have their monumental scene at the end, I got choked up.
Yeah, it made us feel a little bit more important than just two war buddies, right?
Exactly. So, very much enjoyed it the second time. I'm glad I saw it a second time. Will I see it a third? Well, of course I'll see it again at some time. I don't know if I'm going to go to the theater and see it again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Keeping with the theme of Star Wars, we're going to start in this show to begin to transition out of Star Wars, right? Because we've been hitting it pretty hard. But before we do that in this intro, we want to talk about just a couple more things in the franchise, right? And why don't you go first?
So after seeing Rogue One and Vader having his badass 30 seconds,
yep,
I wanted more of that. Obviously, there's not a TV show anytime soon. There's not a film anytime soon with Vader. So I had heard great things about the Marvel Star Wars Vader series. As fate would have it, Christmas Day, I found a deal on the first hardcover. So I ordered it and tore right through it. It was a little overhyped for me because I had seen so much buzz online about it. But I'm still going to tell you it's fantastic.
So this hardcover you have, that's one of a series of hardcovers, or that's the entire series all in one?
It's the first half of the series, just under half the series. So the series, I want to say, went 23 issues.
And it's finished? That series is finished?
It is now done.
Okay.
So there's been various soft cover trades, and literally this hardcover was cheaper than buying the first two trades, which is the first year, the first 12 issues.
Okay.
So the hardcover is the first 12 issues, so a whole year of Vader stories. I picked it up, and like I said, I tore right through it. It gives you a lot of insight as to Vader and his scheming, and how much Sidious messes with him.
And where does it take place in the timeline?
It takes place almost immediately after the end of Star Wars A New Hope.
Between New Hope and Empire.
Right.
Okay.
So right now, they're looking for the Rebels. Most specifically, Vader is looking for Luke. So it kind of feeds nicely into Empire.
Yeah.
What I liked, Vader's not a heavy speaker. He doesn't talk a lot in the book either.
Yeah.
But what I actually enjoyed most about it were the ancillary or supporting characters. Specifically, I'm talking about 000 and BT-1, who the best way to describe them is they're evil C-3PO and R2.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the BT-1 I was aware of that is like an evil... Well, is he really evil, or he's just supportive of Darth Vader?
He's evil. I'm going to say he's evil. He's a prototype. He's an assassin droid, disguised to look like an astromech. Uh-huh. So when he opens up, he's full of weapons, and he's programmed to want to kill everyone.
And what about 000? What type of droid is he?
He is a torture droid. Looks like...
He's humanoid, though, or...?
He looks like C-3PO, but black with red eyes.
Okay.
So, but one of his favorite things to do is to find organic beings and drain all of their blood. And murder them.
Okay, and who's this Dr. Aphra character?
So, You've seen, obviously, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're familiar with Indiana Jones, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
Do you remember in Indiana Jones, the first one, the evil other archaeologist, Belloc?
Yeah, a little bit.
Dr. Aphra is basically a female Belloc working for Darth Vader in the Star Wars universe.
So what is she doing? Like, what's her role?
She claims to be just an archaeologist.
Uh-huh.
And she is, but she looks for old stuff. Like, she looks for archaeological items in the Star Wars world, usually weapons or things that can give people an edge, power.
Yeah.
And Vader's using her for that.
Okay.
She's the one that brings 000 and BT-1 to Vader. And then he's so happy with her work there that he continues to use her.
So she's aware that she's just aiding Vader. She's not just like an unknowing pawn.
And she's kind of like, she knows exactly what she's doing. Yeah. And she knows that working with him is very dangerous, because if she upsets him or displeases him, she knows she's dead.
Yeah.
And there's a couple times in the comic where you think she might be getting it, and she doesn't. And the reasons are good. She's a very interesting character, so much so that I'm not just interested in her. She's been very popular. They're actually started an ongoing series that just started in the last month or so called Star Wars Dr. Aphra.
Okay, that makes sense, because I knew the name kind of was ringing a bell for me, and I figured it could have been more than just her being a supporting character in that series. Sticking with the Sith theme and Darth Vader theme, I just finished the paperback of Lords of the Sith, which is one of the canon Star Wars novels. Takes place, I think it's one of the first canon franchises that takes place right after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So it's a fresh, early Vader perspective.
So a young Vader.
Yeah, relatively young Vader. So he takes, I'm not going to get into the story too much. I don't want to have any spoilers, but it's very heavy. It's pretty much one action-adventure tale. It doesn't span out forever. It probably all takes place over the course of 1 week maybe. But it's Vader and the Emperor, Darth Sidious, together. As you mentioned, it touches on their back-and-forth relationship, where it's almost like Sidious is consistently probing him and asking him questions, like almost keeping him uneasy, questioning whether or not he actually wants to kill the Emperor or support the Emperor, or if he's afraid of the Emperor, or who he thinks is more powerful. He's always sort of playing that mind game with him the whole time. And we get a lot of the Emperor in action. So like episode, what was it? Attack of the Clones? What was the one where the Emperor fought Yoda in the Senate building?
Oh, that's oh, come on, that's the third one.
That's the third one. That's
Return of the Sith.
So we get a lot more of that type of visual of the Emperor actually jumping around and killing people and being super, super powerful, which is interesting. And then it builds out, the whole thing takes place in the moons and the space atmosphere and on the planet Ryloth. So we hear that planet mentioned in the movies and stuff, and Rebels and all that. So it really builds that world a lot more. You learn about the flora and the fauna there, and where the bases are.
What's important about Ryloth? Because I haven't seen Rebels yet.
So from what I can tell, there's natural resources there that the Empire wants, and the Empire is basically occupying that planet with a lot of bases there. And I think it also has just a strategic placing in the galaxy for like a jumping off point.
Okay.
So they have a lot of bases there, a big communications base throughout the galaxy that's there, and the Twi'leks, the people of Ryloth, they have a strong resistance. It's almost made out to be like they are one of the first small bands of the rebellion. And they kind of mention in the book that they start to even call themselves a rebellion, when really they just consider themselves as freedom fighters for their planet. And then as the book goes on, you get a lot of Cham Syndulla, who was in the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels.
Yes.
So he's probably the main good guy character in this book. And so you get a lot of him transitioning from just being a fighter on his planet to realizing there's maybe more of a galaxy-wide rebellion growing. So there's a lot of stuff packed into this book. It's much more action-packed than the other canon books I've read. I've enjoyed them all, but this was the most action-packed.
So what you're telling me basically is we've got the seeds of Darth Vader becoming the scary and powerful adversary that he is, as well as seeds of what will eventually become the armed insurrection that is the rebellion.
Yep, and don't let me leave out that there's some serious badass Vader in this book too. So badass, in fact, that as I'm reading it, I'm almost like, okay, they may be going a little too far with Vader's capabilities and powers here. It almost makes it like, wow, how could he possibly be doing this?
Right.
So he's pretty powerful in this book for sure.
Awesome. Sounds very interesting. I think I might have to check that out.
And the book that immediately follows that is Tarkin, which I have in the mail, and we'll start reading that soon.
Awesome. So I just wanted to touch on those Star Wars things. Like I said, we don't want to be all Star Wars all the time. Well, there were a couple things we want to touch in on, and we're going to segue now into our main topic. We're going to be talking about what we're looking forward to this coming year.
What makes you think you can bullshit your way into my head? Like every other pencil-neck piece of shit!
Here we are. It's 2017. 2016's in the books, and we're looking forward now. And we're going to talk about movies, some TV, and some multimedia stuff as well. But we're going to start just going through one by one. We're going to touch on some things we're interested in, and then we're going to have a little bit of a lightning round session where we go through things pretty quickly. First one on the list, one that you wanted to talk about, that you're excited about, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, the reason I want to touch on this is just that I have to admit, during the whole development process and whether or not Ridley Scott was going to come back, I wasn't interested, and I was like, who needs to see a sequel to a movie that came out 30-some-odd years ago?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to try to say his name because it's very French-sounding, but the director they've tapped to do this is a guy that just did Arrival.
Yeah. Now, is Ridley Scott involved in this in any way?
He's still executive producer.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
He's still there. He's got his fingers into it. So, same guy just did Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he did Sicario.
Yep.
He can do tension.
And correct me if I'm wrong, when his name became attached, that's more so when you really became interested in this.
Well, his name became attached some time ago. At that point, I'd only seen Sicario.
Yeah, but after Sicario and then Arrival, now you're like, okay, I'm invested in this.
Exactly. Sicario was really intense. I couldn't stop watching. Like, it was one of those movies, I'm like, I'll start this before I go to bed. I'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. And instead, I stayed up way too late watching the whole thing. I was just that pulled into it.
Yeah.
Then he does Arrival, and he's shown me he can do sci-fi. So, tension and sci-fi. This looks like they're going to be kind of noir, like the original Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I think he has the right feel for it. So now it's on my radar.
Yeah, and I mentioned before, well, first of all, I can say that as much as I want to support Ridley Scott, I feel like over the past 10 years, his name doesn't carry the same weight as it would have 10 years ago. There's been some letdowns, I think, of things that he's been attached to.
Prometheus.
But then I'll say as well, I'll probably get some hate for this, but I'm not a huge fan of the original Blade Runner. It should be amazing, but I just don't, by default, give it too much credit. So I'm just up in the air on this one. I think it has the possibility to be really good, but I'm not counting down the minutes on this one.
Well, also my non-sexual boyfriend is in there, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. So is he the main guy? Because isn't Harrison Ford in it as well?
He is in it.
Okay, yeah.
He's playing Deckard still, but I think he's going to be more an ancillary role. I think that Ryan Gosling is the focus of this one. And for my money, Ryan Gosling can do very, very little wrong.
Yeah, and the creative direction on this is going to be big for me. I'm going to get really excited about it really quick if the visuals and the design of it is really crazy and fun. Right. So
we've just had that teaser, so I think once we see a full-blown trailer to kind of see what the whole world's going to look like, that's going to really tell me whether or not it's a must-see, that week it comes out, or do I wait? Yeah,
sure. Okay, moving along. Similar kind of feel almost, but Ghost in the Shell. So we got Scarlett Johansson. We're not going to get into the drama of her being the lead character. I leave the political side out of it.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. But it's not just her. If you look at the whole cast, it is a bit whitewashed, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Fair enough. I mean, it's just like we can't do anything about it, so right. I don't want to get into that too much. But the story itself, so I think we've talked before, there's a lot of different versions of the animated series or whatever, and I've always been sort of a fan. I've never followed it really closely, but I am looking forward to this movie in hopes that it's good, but I also have a little bit of apprehension that it might be terrible, in the vein of Ultraviolet, or the Aeon Flux movie was kind of interesting, but it wasn't huge, so I'm kind of iffy on this one. I hope it's good, though.
Did you ever see Lucy?
Yes.
And? I didn't, so did you?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. I mean, it didn't have anything else to tie it to, right? It was its own story. So right. In that sense, I think the expectations weren't as high, whereas Ghost in the Shell has, 15 or 20 years of history of people being fans of it, so the bar is much higher for this, right?
I can see that, but I think Johansson with this movie, with Lucy, with the Avenger films. She's proven she can do action. She may not be 80s Linda Hamilton, Sigourney Weaver, but...
Well, she's good. She's a draw. I think the movie's
she's definitely a draw.
It's going to make a lot of money just because of her name, right?
Exactly. She's kind of getting up there with Emily Blunt. Somehow they've become our go-to. We're going to do an action movie with a woman, so it's going to be Emily Blunt or Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think it'll be good, or how excited are you about it?
I'm not nearly as excited as you are. I really enjoyed the Ghost in the Shell back in the, I want to say, for me it was early 90s. I caught some of the anime then, and I loved it. But I haven't revisited in the past really 20 years, so my excitement is tempered.
Yeah, for me, similar to Blade Runner, I'm putting a lot of excitement into the creative direction and the set design, character design, all that kind of stuff. I think in that sense has a potential to be phenomenal. Movies like Jupiter Ascending have proven that great character design and creative alien design and all that kind of stuff does not make a great movie.
Right. Jupiter Ascending looked awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that movie was terrible, though.
Absolutely terrible. Absolutely. But it looked wonderful.
Okay, next one on the list.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Volume 2.
Volume 2, yes.
Yes.
To be completely honest, I really enjoyed the first Guardians of the Galaxy. But for my money, the best action sci-fi movie that year, I still think, was Edge of Tomorrow. That same year it came out. So, I'm geeked about this. I'm not as geeked, I think, as the mainstream mainstream, just people at large.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I'm super excited, and here's why. Guardians of the Galaxy, the original movie, because it wasn't a huge comic book franchise when I was growing up, I didn't have that high expectations. When it first was announced, I'm like, who are these guys? I don't know who they are. As the movie got closer, I began getting a little bit more excited. But then when I saw it, the music, the characters, the humor in the movie, but it still wasn't an over-the-top comedy. I just loved it. The galactic scope of it, I love how it was branching out. How you have Doctor Strange branching out to the mystic side. How this was branching out to the galactic side, I loved. Top of my head, I got to say it's probably top 3 of all the Marvel movies so far to me. So I'm really looking forward to the second one. Again, it's got a lot of crossover. The first one gave it a lot of crossover appeal, so I think it's going to be hugely successful. My wife is absolutely giddy over Baby Groot.
Oh, I loved it. That is hilarious.
Yeah, so the trailer so far, even though it hardly gives us any information, the sort of comedy interaction of the characters is great in the trailer. So this is top 3 for me, 2017, looking forward.
It's definitely in my scope, top 10. I'm excited about it, but I really enjoyed that last one. And James Gunn made everything work. You're right.
Yep.
There's action, there's comedy, and I'm not going to lie. Soundtracks are big for me. The way he was able to integrate all those songs from the 70s into that, loved it. There are people that are now, my daughter, McKinley, 13 years old, knows almost all those songs from the 70s because of this movie.
Yeah, you made a good point with Edge of Tomorrow. That was a great movie, and it was sort of a fresh story, new take, wasn't tied to a franchise or whatever. But if I think back to Guardians of the Galaxy 1, it's really hard for me to find anything negative or anything at all that I didn't like about this movie.
Oh, I agree. There's nothing I didn't like about it. It seemed that everyone in the world loved it that summer, and I enjoyed it.
What I feel like is happening here with this one is that you're just curbing your enthusiasm a little bit because you don't want to get let down if you get too excited about it.
I wouldn't say you're completely wrong on that.
Okay, moving along then. Next one, sticking with Marvel, we have the Logan movie, Wolverine movie.
Oh my God, this movie looks phenomenal.
So see, here I think is where we just flip-flop. Like, I'm excited about it, but I don't think I'm nearly as excited about it as you are.
Definitely flip-flop then, because so this is the third standalone Wolverine movie.
Yep.
First one, well, I think we all admit is not that great. And the second one was a step in the right direction.
Yep.
I like that they went to Japan.
Yep.
And tried to incorporate, Wolverine's tale of Bushido and the Warrior's Path. It still didn't hit on all cylinders like those similar journeys that he took in the comics.
Yeah. I felt like the first couple were a little disconnected from the rest of the universe, right?
Yeah. They were trying to find their way.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anything out of this movie. All I knew about this movie before the first trailer was that Fox was happy that Deadpool did so well in being rated R.
Yeah.
That they were now thinking about making Logan rated R.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, but Deadpool, you need it because of the comedy and the ultra-violence.
The language, yeah.
The language, exactly. The the jokes, which are sexual and otherwise and just wrong in nature,
Yeah.
but hilarious. So I was like, please don't do that to Logan. But now that I've seen the trailer, I think they are going to go with the violence.
Yeah, more of the violence angle of the R rating.
But it seems it all fits.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the Wolverine character. I love what Hugh Jackman's been doing with it. Some of my favorite Wolverine villains still have not shown up at all. And it sounds like they're not going to show up here either.
Do you know who the villains are?
I think so, but tell me who they are.
The Reavers.
Yep, not interested in them.
What?
And then isn't X-23 been connected to this movie as well?
The word is that girl we see in the trailers is X-23.
Yeah, and I'm not all that interested in that either.
You know, she's not my favorite character. She is the current Wolverine in the comic books. But I have to ask, why are you not into the Reavers? Do you know what they are, right?
A little bit. They were not early 90s villains, were they? Did they come on later?
They've been around, since they started in the 80s, but they got really big in the 90s.
Okay. It's not so much that I'm going against them. I'm just kicking and screaming and being immature that I want Sabretooth done right. I know he was done before, but not in a good way. I want Omega Red is one of my favorite villains of all time, and I think his ties to, Russia and the Soviets could make for a great movie. Just off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of a couple other ones, but I think they haven't touched on some of the aspects of Wolverine that I personally love. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be great.
Well, that's fine, and I think those would be appropriate in a more superhero-style movie.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're getting with this.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not as excited, but I'm ready to be surprised.
I got to make my case for the Reavers real quick. So Donald Pierce is the leader of the Reavers. And his whole thing is that basically that humans are superior, mutants, they're an abomination, they need to be eliminated. So how does he go about doing this? By turning himself into a cyborg.
Yeah.
So he's not really a pure human anymore. All of his soldiers are also cyborgs. So you guys have modified yourselves and made yourself less human in order to attack a species that you believe is not human. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of the Reavers, so that just ups it.
No, I think I'm looking forward to it, but it's just not super high on my list. Okay, going next, which one we think might possibly be a wild card for 2017, which is the movie Mute, being released on Netflix by Duncan Jones, who worked on the movie Moon. Did he have another one as well?
Source Code and Warcraft.
Oh,
we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. So this was like one of his pet projects, I guess. He's been trying to push through. He's able to get it through now with Netflix. And, sometimes when that's the story, it's because it's something that's so new and interesting that none of the studios are willing to take a risk on it. That's what I'm hoping is the case here, that nobody could understand it, that it maybe was a little bit too complicated or interesting or taboo in some weird way. So he had to go to Netflix with it. So I'm hoping it's a wild card that comes out of left field and is big for nerds. I
agree. And the talk that this is somehow maybe even tangentially related to Moon, connected somehow.
Yeah.
Moon, I think, is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we got to find a way to talk about Moon, but I love that movie.
Should I check it out? Let's put that in your notes. That's going to happen.
So yeah, somehow it's supposed to be connected to Moon in that universe.
And just some of the pictures we've seen already and some of the imagery, it looks very Blade Runner-esque, but more neon.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I think that's a cool look, a cool aesthetic. Obviously, we don't know much about the movie, but like Alan said, this sounds like a wild card. This could be the sleeper hit, kind of like Arrival was this last year or the year before. What did you mention?
I don't remember what I mentioned.
Ex Machina.
Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah, like how those kind of came out of left field and were just powerful movies. We're hoping this is the same thing here.
And the fact that it's running on Netflix, which I already subscribed to, so for me, it feels like it's free, even though I'm paying for it. But yeah, very excited. I'm not excited. It's too early to tell, but I like what I'm hearing. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and I just want to touch a little bit on 2017 becoming like we're reaching critical mass of this future punk, neon, new retro wave. Between Mute, between Ghost in the Shell, between Blade Runner, we're going to get a lot of these sort of future punk, neon.
And even though it comes out the following March, Ready Player One, which is also retro neo.
Right, and so that just visual style I love, and I just hope that it translates over to many more things in culture in general, to fashion, to music, to all this kind of stuff. I think that's good for nerds.
Oh yeah, Gen X is in their 40s, and they're running the movie industry. They're running everything right now.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see more of that in the next few years.
Yeah, so I think that's good in general. So moving along from Mute, we get to Pacific Rim 2, which I'm excited about, and I've touched on this in a little bit in the past, that I think because Pacific Rim exists, we probably will never get an Evangelion movie. So I'm just putting my chips into Pacific Rim 2. I'm hoping that they make some improvements off the original one. Again, it's no Citizen Kane, it's no, whatever great Apocalypse Now or nothing like that, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm just looking forward to it.
I agree. It's fun for what it is. I didn't love the first Pacific Rim. I enjoyed it for what it was. Who doesn't like, massive robots fighting kaiju? It was very entertaining, and I admit some of the humor with Charlie Day and Ron Perlman was fun.
Yeah.
The only real pause I have here is that it's not directed by Guillermo del Toro.
True.
It's been handed off, and if I had done my homework, I would have found out who's doing it. He's producing it, so he's still involved.
Yeah, he's still involved.
I am excited about John Boyega, though.
Oh, right. So he's going to be in there. Finn.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about this movie, again, more so because of seeing what the new robots look like, seeing what the new monsters look like. I geek out about that kind of stuff, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Next we have Spider-Man Homecoming, which I'm really geeked about. I don't know how geeked about Alan is, but I am loving it.
I'll go see it, and I'll probably go see it opening weekend, but I'm almost a little Spider-Man'd out at this stage in my nerd life.
I can see that.
I'm not hating against them. I don't treat them like I treat DC Comics. I'm just sort of like, wake me up the day before, right?
See, the original series of Spider-Man by Raimi, love the first two. Obviously, everyone knows the third one's not that great.
Yeah, they reached a little too much on the third one.
They rebooted it. I didn't mind the first one, Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was pretty good. But I've heard such bad things about Amazing Spider-Man 2, I haven't bothered to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's, again, the second one, they started getting a little DC Sinister Squad-like. Like, they just tried to go too far too fast instead of taking their time. So they kind of almost just spoiled that second go at it. And so now it's like the third time around. It just bugs me that they can keep redoing it. And, I'd rather just see him live in the Marvel Universe and not reboot him again right away. But, again, I'll go see it, and I'm open to it being great.
But I don't think we're not going to get another origin story, I don't think. He's already appeared in Civil War.
Yeah.
So we know he's active. Hopefully we don't go back and find out how he became active.
I mean, we see that Tony Stark plays a moderate role in this movie.
Yes.
So I think because of that, I probably will end up liking it, but I'll be ready for it when it gets here.
And sexist alert here. This is by far the hottest Aunt May they've ever had.
Oh, it's true. Minnie Driver? No, who is it? Who's Aunt May? Not Minnie Driver. I get her and this person confused all the time, but... Anyways, you're right. She's pretty young. She's like 40 or something.
No, she's in her 50s, I think, now. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, interesting call for Aunt May. And
My cousin Vinny. That's who this Aunt May is, right?
Yeah, it's, oh, shoot.
Marissa Tomei?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. I was torn because I think she'll do fantastic. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever seen her in, she's been really good. She's going to do great as Aunt May, but I'm just like, this is the first time I ever thought, man, Aunt May's kind of sexy.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of weird, too.
I'm used to Aunt May being the school marm, the old maid.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, hello, Aunt May. How you doing?
Yeah, not Tony Stark hitting on Aunt May.
Right. I'm sorry for being sexist there, but I felt what I felt.
After that, sticking with Marvel a little bit, the Thor Ragnarok movie, Ragnarok. Now, also in the graphic design of this movie, we're seeing that neon 80s feel again. So like I said, we're reaching critical mass of that trend in 2017, and I'm excited about it.
I'm okay with that. We don't know much about this movie.
No, and we just heard a couple weeks ago that Doctor Strange is going to play a little bit of a bigger role in it.
Which is fine.
And that Hulk is going to be a big secondary hero in it. So we know we have at least those three.
And it makes sense for Doctor Strange because, you remember the first Thor movie where basically they said, any advanced enough technology will appear as magic to anyone else.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange, yes, it's magic, but they've also described that basically you've learned the source code for reality. So it fits. It's not as fantastical as it originally would have seemed.
And I think the Thor franchise is sort of hitting its stride now. The first two movies, I almost feel the same way that I said about the Wolverine movies. It kind of felt like they were out in left field. They were trying to make it connected to the rest of the Avengers universe, but it fell out on its own. So I feel like this one with Hulk and with Doctor Strange and with them not having to build so much of Thor's world, that hopefully it hits its stride, and I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, the first Thor, I admit, I went into that. I had free tickets to go see it. I was not interested in Thor in any way, shape, or form. I left that movie actually giving a shit about Thor.
Yeah, I like the first one better than the second one. The second one felt like a placeholder movie to me.
See, I won't get too into it, but the second one I think I enjoyed more than the average person. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that I think, I know I'm an outlier on that. I really enjoyed the second movie. No one else seems to. What I'm most excited about with this movie, it sounds like they're borrowing key elements from Planet Hulk.
Yeah, yep.
Have you read it?
As well. I haven't read it, but I know a little bit about it, and I've heard that they might start to be going there.
It's fantastic. And some promotional art leaked of Hulk wearing the gladiator armor.
Yes, yep.
And Thor doing it as well. And apparently they're going to fight.
And
that's the theory. They're going to fight in some gladiator.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about this movie is it seems like it's going to be much less based on Earth. And I think that's what hurt the first two movies. Too much Earth-based stuff.
Yes. This one is going to be not like Guardians of the Galaxy, but more cosmic.
Right. And that's why I'm excited about it. So.
And anytime Loki's in a film, I mean...
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston coming back. Everybody loves him, of course.
Oh, my God. He's fantastic as Loki. I don't ever want him to leave.
Thor, we're excited about. Okay, next one is one that you know more about. I don't even know that I've heard of it, so give us a little intro.
Why I'm most excited about this is because it's Luc Besson coming back to sci-fi. Probably the last movie that he did in this kind of vein was The Fifth Element.
Okay, yep, that was phenomenal.
It's visually awesome.
Yep.
It's very much kind of like a love letter to Star Wars, but with a different European view of things, and I really, really enjoyed it. So we're going to see more of this here. I'm hoping. It's not a sequel to Fifth Element. It's just...
Do you know, is this one coming out early in the year or late in the year? Where's the movie at?
Summer.
Okay, so it's going to be a summer blockbuster then.
Just to give you a little background on this, it's based on a comic series that's a French comic series that's been around since the 60s. So right away, you're going to notice it's about two people. They work for this agency. They're basically like cops that work in time stream because space and time are interrelated. They try to prevent criminals that go back in time to change things. And it exists. They're a galactic organization. So it's very sci-fi. Mm-hmm. People might say right from the get-go that the ship that they fly around looks a little bit too much like the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And before people say that, I just want to say if you look back at the original comics, you can see where Star Wars has lifted heavily elements from this comic. So
was the original comic called Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets? Or
the original comic series is just Valerian. Or Valerian and Lorelei, depending.
And do you expect this movie to be sort of a space opera, or not really, more about time travel?
Well, it's going to be more of a space opera.
Okay.
Time travel is involved because they're flying in spaceships. I don't want to give too much away, but yes, time travel will be involved.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to glean a little bit more off of you because, like I said, I'm starting from zero on this franchise.
Have you seen the trailer?
No.
First, you got to watch it. I think visually, you're going to see that Luc Besson's hitting on all the cylinders. I think it's, at the very least, it's going to be a beautiful movie to look at.
So let me throw this out there then. You serve this right up for me. Is there at least the potential that this movie may be this year's Jupiter Ascending?
Oh, yes. Like I said,
Because, the Wachowskis did The Matrix, which we all loved.
Yes.
But then they laid a big turd with Jupiter Ascending.
I watched it, and it is beautiful to look at.
Right, it is. It is.
They did some amazing world building, but no one cares about bureaucratic red tape.
In space.
As being the primary crux of your story.
Yeah, so I think this is interesting too. This could be another one of our wild cards. Right? It might come out of nowhere, or it might be something that they try to hype it up, and we go watch it, and it lays an egg. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is either going to be the next Guardians of the Galaxy, or the next Jupiter Ascending.
Right. Okay. So that's a good one to come back to when it comes out and revisit. Okay. So the next one again where we're flip flopping here, where you don't have much interest, but I kind of do, which is World War Z 2. Is it official that that's the name of the movie, or is it just going to be another World War Z movie? I don't know that far yet.
I've only seen it called World War Z 2 so far. If that changes, I don't know. But that's my understanding.
Here's why I'm looking forward to this one. I loved the book. I thought the first movie was average, right? I mean, it was below average compared to the book, but people that didn't read the book probably thought it was decent. I've heard that the reason they're doing this movie is because they know they whiffed so much on the first one and left out so many potentially good things from the book. That doesn't mean they're going to do it right, but I'm giving them a second chance for sure.
You are much more courteous than I am. I have no interest in this movie whatsoever. that the first movie, World War Z, I can't mentally separate it from the book. I love the book. Tore through the book.
Yeah.
Was super excited to see some of the battles in the book, in the movie. And the only thing really the movie and the book share are the title.
Well, I mean, the Brad Pitt's character was one of the ones in the book, but he didn't dominate the story.
It's not in the book.
Well, not him and his name, but he's part of, like, they took that from the book.
They took some small things like Israel being really good at locking itself down as a country.
Yeah, but then the whole guy from, I forget the guy's name, but the guy from India or whatever.
Yeah.
In the book. I mean, yeah.
There was no mention of how North Korea basically closed itself and disappeared.
Yeah.
There's no mention of Cuba becoming a world power.
I'm not making any apologies for the first movie. I'm just saying I'm hoping they get it right on the second one.
I'd like for them to get it right, but you know what? They basically pissed me off, and I'm not going to go bother to look.
Taking your ball and going home.
I'm taking my ball and going home. And now, if you see the movie and come and tell me, listen, they made up for it, I'll check it out, but probably not in the theater.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, moving along. Now here we go again, sort of a flip-flop of opinions here. Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is the only DC property right now that I'm excited about, and it's weird because I don't have a strong affinity for the character. I appreciate Wonder Woman. I can't say that I have a long history with her, but having girls, I am eager to see strong female protagonists in movies, especially superhero movies and whatnot. So I'm very excited about that, but just simply put, the trailers they've put out and the story they're proposing interest me, and it looks like they're doing something right. For the first time ever.
Yeah, exactly.
DC
I hope they do. I'm not going to try to shit on this movie before it comes out, but what I said to you earlier is I am not going to invest any money into DC until they can have like 2 hits in a row. I mean, when I say money, okay, at most I'll rent this from Redbox or I'll watch it on an airplane, but I'm definitely not going to the movies to see this one.
I'll take my girls.
I hope it's good. And yeah, if I had daughters, I probably would take them too. So I completely agree with that side of the story here. But yeah, they have to prove to me that they're worth anything. I've taken my ball and went home on DC at this point.
Now, my question for you is, what do you consider a successful DC movie?
Well, successful in the sense of not monetarily successful. I think it's one where you come and you say to me, like, yeah, this is really good. It's nothing like Batman versus Superman. It was nothing like Suicide Squad. It's actually good.
I was just curious because Batman vs. Superman made money. Not the money that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
But then Suicide Squad made more money than they thought they were going to make.
No, I think this... In fact, I would go to a limit and say Wonder Woman has a chance to actually be good but not make money because of DC's shortcomings to this point. So, I don't know.
I can see your point. I'm hoping it makes money, but more importantly, let me rewind that. I'm hoping that it is critically acclaimed and makes money. Because if that happens, then DC will say, hopefully they'll say, this is the direction we need to go. This is how you do a superhero film. Which, unfortunately, with Suicide Squad, the money they made there, they're getting the wrong message.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, I just have no faith in it. And if they turn it around, I'll be happy for them. But if they never turn it around, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Okay, so we want to end here for the ones we're going to really get into on what's probably going to be the crown jewel of the year, which is, of course, Star Wars Episode 8.
Yes, I mean, and unfortunately, the reason why this comes right now that we have to talk about it also is because, unfortunately, the passing of Carrie Fisher does affect, maybe not particularly this movie, but the series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she had already filmed everything from this movie, but the news was right that they didn't intend, well, supposedly they didn't intend for her to die yet. Right. So they're going to have to figure out how to make that work.
Word is, whether in this movie or the next, Episode 9, that she's supposed to have 2 big scenes. She's going to be a really integral player, and that one of the scenes is her reunion with Luke and her confrontation with Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
I could see the first one, reunion with Luke, happening in this film, but I would have expected the final confrontation between her and Ren to be in Episode 9. And now the big question is, how do we do this? And I think that's I don't think there's a right answer, and I think there can only be a wrong answer, but we won't know it until it happens.
Yeah, and I'm going to say not that it was at all in any way good anything that Carrie Fisher passed, but a silver lining may be that it may allow them to not have her to lean on in the story, right? They may have to start to get creative, go a different way, maybe not play out a trope that's played out in the past, mother-son deal. They may have to get creative, and it may end up going in a direction that could take us in new territory.
I can see that, and I can appreciate that, because obviously The Force Awakens did lean on the old cast.
Yeah.
I would like to see Star Wars to move forward with a story that doesn't... And they can do it. Rogue One proves that.
Yeah.
Though, once again, there were leanings. You saw Leia, you saw Tarkin, Vader.
But much less.
Right.
You know? And I think they laid a lot of the groundwork. They did a lot of the wink-wink, nod-nod stuff in Episode 7. So I'm really excited for them to be like, okay, that's out of the way. Let's go full steam ahead with this new direction in this movie. Kylo Ren, Luke's coming back, and Han isn't there anymore, so that's going to open up space for somebody else. So I'm really excited about this one.
Me too. And I'm really excited to see the new cast, the new Star Wars people,
Kylo Ren, Rey, Finn.
Yes, I want to see them take the story and run with it. So I can see that silver lining that they might, because sadly Carrie Fisher's gone, they won't lean on that. But she's gonna. I don't see how they can not have her in Episode 9. And so what do? You can't really recast her.
Well, here's
CGI her.
Here's my early thought. They may have to late film or late add something to close her out in Episode 8. And then Episode 9, we get her as sort of Force Ghost, right? So you can bring her back. You don't have to be as realistic, so you don't get the scrutiny. But you can make it that she obviously passed away, but she's still here, and you know what I mean? Like, I think they may end up going that route, maybe. To me, that's the easy way to go.
Right, but the question still is, how do you film that? Do you CGI her?
Well, yeah, I think you just CGI her, but then you take away, you make her blotchy and not clear, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the Tupac concert.
Right. Right. Let's just lay it as Tupac. They're similar. And then the question comes, what's the time period? Like, obviously, the gentleman, I can't remember his name, that played Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, he died like 20, 30 years ago. So they had to CGI him, and no one really kind of batted an eyelash. Is it too soon to CGI Leia 2 years after she died?
Well,
or not Leia, Carrie Fisher.
And look, this movie, Leia's filming was done. Carrie Fisher's filming was done. But the movie is still 11 months away. And then it's 2 more years until 9 comes out at that point.
Right, so the script's not even written yet.
Yeah, so, Episode 9 is like, who knows at this point, right? I mean, some people know, but we clearly, I think we got to cross that bridge when it gets closer. But I think Episode 8 will be solid, and I don't think they'll have too many issues with it at this point.
Oh, I'm excited for 8, and I know we've been spending a lot of time talking about Carrie Fisher right now. But simple fact of the matter is, we don't know a lot about Episode 8. We just know that Finn, Rey, and Ren are going to be in it.
And Luke. I mean, that's the number one cliffhanger, right?
Right. We suspect they're going to touch on Rey's... Not Rey's. Yeah.
Yeah, Rey's parent, whoever parents are.
Yes. Her parentage. Other than that, we don't know much. We know that Captain Phasma's going to be in it.
Yeah, right, because that was one... She got a lot of hype going into 7, and then everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute.
And she's like in 2 scenes.
Yeah, she wasn't even in it, so... but then they said, well, she's coming back, right? So that'll be interesting.
Yes. But other than that, we don't know a lot. But it's Star Wars, so we're geeked.
Yep. Like I said, it's got to be the crown jewel. So really quickly here, we're going to go lightning round, touch on some other ones, but we're not going to take too much time. Lego Batman. Trailer looks fun. Sadly, I never saw the first Lego movie yet. Could be fun.
What? Okay, first off, go see the first Lego movie. It's a lot of fun. It'll make you laugh. It's a great, funny depiction of Batman. I'm looking forward to this. And it's probably going to be better than anything DC's done since Nolan.
Yeah, that's true. Matter of fact, DC is lucky they can attach their name to this and actually have a winner on their hands, maybe.
Yes.
Alien Covenant.
Prometheus shit the bed so bad. I mean, it looked beautiful when they shit the bed, but Alien is one of my favorite franchises ever, but I have to admit, they got to do a lot to get me back in now.
Yeah, to me, this is similar to World War Z 2. I thought Prometheus had potential. I'm willing to stay involved, and I hope it takes the good things there and makes them better and doesn't ruin the Alien franchise. So we'll see. Power Rangers.
Don't care.
Yeah, me too. I'm too old for Power Rangers by just a handful of years. So I don't have much expectations. I know Gen Y and people younger than me have the potential of making this movie huge. I don't know that they're going to, though.
You've got some cool names. Elizabeth Banks. I like her.
Yep.
She's a good actress. She's funny. Bryan Cranston's in it.
Yeah, so...
But other than that, you're right. I'm too old. It's not my generation.
Yeah, me too. And I got a feeling it could be in that version in the vein of Ninja Turtles, where it's probably a lot of fun, but if you're not really enjoying it or into it, it's not going to mean anything to you.
Nope.
Cars 3, Pixar, that franchise has been pretty good. I can't say I'm excited about it, but it'll probably be a hit.
Saw the first one, liked it, didn't love it, didn't bother with the second. I'm sure I probably won't watch this one. Maybe I will, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Dark Tower.
A lot of buzz on this, but I have to admit, as far as my geek proclivities go, I haven't read this book, the Stephen King books, I should say. But I love Idris Elba. Idris, did I say his name right? Idris Elba, yes. Matthew McConaughey, he's hit or miss. He's either great or he's awful.
Yeah, and I think this one could be another one of those wild card movies. It could come out of left field and be something. That gets
there's a huge fan base for it. I'm just not one of them. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Despicable Me 3.
Well, it'll be funny. I'll look forward to seeing it, but it's not a must-see.
Yeah, that'll be a red box for me as well, but very enjoyable. I'm sure it'll deliver. The God Particle.
Could be a wild card. This is the third movie in the Cloverfield series. Just as that a space shuttle is in orbit when suddenly the Earth disappears, and then some weird shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, the Bad Robot, Cloverfield, whatever. I've liked all the movies, the first two so far, so I'll be looking forward to this one as well. Jumanji.
No interest.
Yep. Same with me. I mean, I was never big on the original Robin Williams, and The Rock's involved, and there's yet to be a movie he's been in that I really enjoyed. So
not just The Rock and Kevin Hart. They've done a few movies together now. No, I've not seen them, and nor do I care. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, they're no Mel Gibson and Danny Glover.
Right.
Justice League. Again, I've shared my thoughts on DC here. What about you?
I'm right there with you. DC shit in the bed for all I care. I'd like it to be awesome, but I already have complaints. Batman's too old. Why are they forming the Justice League now? Justice League should have been formed during Batman's prime. And now you got me bitching. I enjoy the Flash TV show. The pictures we've seen and the images of the Flash looks awful.
Yeah.
This weird kind of armor, Iron Man-esque thing. I don't know. The only thing about this is that Wonder Woman's in it, so hopefully she's good.
Yep.
We all know Superman's coming back.
Yep.
DC's fooling nobody. They actually might make Aquaman interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Aquaman's the silver lining to this movie. Just I'm wondering if that can be something big. Again, I touched on in a past episode. To me, Justice League should have been one of the lead-up movies to the death of Superman with Doomsday. You know, that's the storyline I liked them from the most. But yeah, so who knows what this is going to be?
Yeah.
Transformers: The Last Night.
It's going to make a shit ton of money, and it's going to be lots of explosions. I'll wait till video.
Yeah, I love the Transformers franchise from cartoons. The movies are starting to stray a little bit for me. I've heard a little bit here that it sets up some of the spin-off stuff they want to do, like spin-off Bumblebee and some other things like that. So I'm hoping that this recenters the franchise and gets it going in a good direction for years to come, but I think it may be too late.
All right, so now we've covered films. Obviously, there's probably a lot more coming out there, but this is kind of just what we want to hit, the big ones, if you will. We're going to talk a little bit now about TV. The first one I think that we're most excited about, one of the ones I'm most excited about, is Netflix's The Defenders.
Yeah, and I'm going to just attach two of these together here because I think you kind of have to. Defenders and Iron Fist.
Yeah, you have to, because Iron Fist comes out first.
Yep.
And is going to lead into Defenders, which brings Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones,
yep, Luke Cage,
and the Punisher. Possibly the Kingpin. But Sigourney Weaver is the bad guy? Oh, get out of here. I'm into it.
When Netflix and Marvel first announced this whole long Defenders arc, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
The thing I was most excited about was Iron Fist. He's always been one of my favorite characters. I
really?
love playing him in video games. If it's not for him in video games, I wouldn't care about him. He was always so much fun to use in the Marvel video games. So this is going to be the series that gets me to finally pony up for the Netflix subscription, get all the previous Marvel stuff, get Iron Fist, and then be fully primed for Defenders.
See, flip the script. I'm not an Iron Fist fan. I have a friend who, Mike Ring, runs a comic book shop out in Portland, Oregon. Loves him. Has been trying to get me to read him for years. I bought the first trade. I haven't read it yet. I will. So I'm really not invested into the Iron Fist show. Now that said, Netflix has done a fantastic job with all their shows. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested because it's Netflix doing a Marvel show, not the character. I will watch Iron Fist. Hopefully it proves, not that I'm wrong, but I'm thinking it's probably going to change my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he gets into that sort of mystic side, I think takes it to a level that the other sort of Hell's Kitchen, New York, gritty stuff hasn't done yet, and I'm excited about that. So the Defenders will be great. Iron Fist, yes. The Expanse, Sci-Fi Season 2.
Just finished the first season. It was a slow burn, but I have to admit, the last 4 or 5 episodes, I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
4 or 5. It's the whole series is only 10 episodes long, but it's like a train. It starts slow, but once it's going, it won't stop. So I'm interested to see where sci-fi is going to go with this. It's adult. It's hard sci-fi. It's probably the best thing they've done since Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I need to jump in and watch season 1, but I've committed that I'm going to watch it. So this will probably be something I'm into as well. Now, going to next, which is probably my number 1 look forward to, is Game of Thrones. It's coming this summer. They had to push usually it always gets released in March or April. They had to push it back to summer because they needed more winter time to film. Fewer episodes this season.
I was going to say, they reduced the number of episodes.
Fewer episodes, but the same budget. So they've announced that there's going to be more money spent per episode, and also a handful of the episodes are going to be quite a bit longer. I'm just super excited. We're nearing the end. This is the penultimate season. There's only one more after this one.
Has it caught the books by this point? Has it surpassed the books, or is it this season 1?
I mean, if you say there's 6 or 7 storylines going in the books, it's surpassed the books in I think 4 or 5 of them. So it's almost completely past the books at this point. Yes.
Okay.
So super excited, new territory. Yeah, this is going to be my number 1. It's feeling like the last season of Game of Thrones was so long ago that it seems like not in the front of my mind right now, but I know it's going to be awesome. Have we made it clear? Are you into Game of Thrones?
I haven't watched anything, maybe half the first episode, so everyone tells me it's great. I didn't have HBO when it came out, and I just haven't made the time for it. I will watch it at some point.
So have you not watched Westworld yet either?
Correct.
So yeah, you got to get into some of these HBO franchises.
I'll get into these when you catch up with Netflix.
Fair enough. But let me just throw it out there. The Game of Thrones has been about 800 times more successful than the Netflix ones combined.
That's fine. But
it's very fantasy. And you seem to be leaning more towards sci-fi. And all
I've accepted that fantasy is not necessarily my thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to talk about Game of Thrones more in some other episodes. So, Legion, the sort of X-Men universe TV show.
This is all kinds of. I don't know where to put this one. It's on FX. FX is usually a little bit edgier. It takes a mutant that is Charles Xavier's son, but also has. I don't remember if he's. I don't remember his deal. If he's not psychotic, but he's got something wrong. Not wrong. I'm sorry. That's not the right way to say it. He's got mental health issues. Or I think he's got all these different personalities, but every single personality has a different power. It's very interesting. I don't know if it's going to translate well. I've never been a huge fan of the character in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just sounds too complicated and, almost like the DC movie universe, Marvel's TV universe. They have to prove something great to me before I start watching. I mean, Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the burns were just too slow, budget's not high enough, not enough tie-in with the movies. So, same thing here. I'm like, I don't know, wake me up when it's great.
See, I agree with you with everything you've said about the ABC Marvel shows. I know you haven't seen the Netflix shows. Jessica Jones was a very dark show.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to lump the Netflix shows into the
right.
Network shows.
The reason I'm bringing them up is that if this is edgier and darker, it could work. Now, you got to remember, though, this is not Marvel. It's Marvel in that, yes, it's...
Yeah, X-Men Fox or whatever.
But it's Fox.
Yeah.
So it's probably not going to be... It's not going to be connected. But so I'm interested just in that Jessica Jones was dark. This appears to be dark. They could make it work.
Yeah, and, going to the next one, I have almost the same feelings. Powerless.
Only reason I bring this up is because DC has been doing a fantastic job on the TV side of things.
Yeah, it seems that they have.
Now, this is now on a major network. It's not the CW. The last time they did a major network was... well, okay. Yeah, but you're watching it. I'm not watching it.
So I'm not watching it. I'm just saying.
Someone's watching it. I'm not watching Gotham. And the other thing they had... Well, I mentioned Supergirl, who's now on the CW.
Yeah.
They seem to be doing superheroes fine.
By the way, does the CW exist without DC shows?
Supernatural. Some people are into that. It's not my show, but
I know they have other programming,
like
but
seasons.
Literally, if they didn't have DC, would that channel still exist?
It would be harder.
It would be like reruns of that 70s show or something all day. I don't know.
It would be the Vampire Diaries every night and the 100.
Charmed.
They're bringing that back.
I heard. Okay.
Side note.
Okay, getting back on track here. Powerless.
Like I said, it's a DC show. Their TV division has been doing well.
It's supposed to be comedic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is produced by Berlanti, however you say his name, who's done all the other CW shows.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'll check it out. It's a comedy with superheroes. I'm interested.
Okay, Star Trek Discovery. I mean, this is. We need your point of view here. I'm not really interested to speak about Star Trek, to be honest.
Here's the thing. This is pretty much a diss for me. Here's why. Okay, it takes place in the Prime Universe. I'm into that. But it takes place...
Wait, what's the Prime Universe?
Okay, so the Prime
Without going too deep here.
Without going too deep, Prime Universe is Star Trek as you know it. The other universe is the Kelvin universe or the Abrams verse, where the new Star Trek comes in.
Yeah.
So this is the original universe line.
Okay.
This is Prime Universe, takes place before the original series, Star Trek in the 60s. Again, doesn't interest me. Just like Enterprise. That took place well before then. But this takes place like 10 years or so before. And here's the other thing. They're going to broadcast one episode on TV, and then you got to pay CBS for their streaming service to watch the rest. Not into that.
Yeah, no, I don't like that model either. I mean, it makes sense why they're doing it, but I don't know that it's going to work for network TV to do that. I don't know. We'll see. With a strong enough franchise, it would, but I don't know that this is it.
The only thing that gives me a slight glimmer of hope, first it was Brian Fuller was running the show. He's gone. He's doing something else. He's doing American Gods. Is that it takes place during the 4 Years' War between the Federation and the Klingons. So if this is a war-heavy show, okay, I'm interested. But everything else that I've mentioned really kills it for me. It's going to have to be spectacular, and I honestly don't see myself paying for CBS, so maybe I'll torrent it. So, FYI, FBI.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I see Star Trek just dying a really, really slow death from the original TV show when it came out. I would be so bold to say in 30 years, nobody will care about Star Trek. Like, there'll be some old people that do, but where other things are going strong, I just think it never really had staying power or just was messed up a long time ago.
You realize this 2016 was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
And that affects what I said, how?
It does have staying power. 50 years.
Yeah, but has anything, has it not just gotten weaker? Every single thing that comes out?
It waxes and wanes.
Do you feel like there's young kids growing up that are getting into Star Wars like they do, or Star Trek like they do Star Wars or Marvel or things like that?
I'm going to say no because it's a different beast.
Right. And that's why I'm not saying why it'll be dead because it just isn't any good. I just think it will just die a slow death. It'll be like film photography. There's nothing actually wrong with it. It just will die.
This is some pretty bold words.
I'm going out there on this one because I just think there's a reason. There's got to be a reason why it has had the path it has, and I'm just trying to justify the fact that I don't like it. So I'm kind of preaching to my own choir on this one, but I'm just throwing that one out.
I'm just going to go into my Google Calendar and set a reminder for when I'm 73 years old. Say, call up Alan and tell him to suck it because Star Trek's still around.
Yeah, no, we'll see. I mean, we'll put that one on the long-term plan here. We'll see. Okay, so Stranger Things. I still haven't seen it because I haven't put it up for Netflix and I didn't take the time and ever try to pirate it. But I'm excited about it because it's phenomenal from everything everybody said.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it, loved it. We've mentioned before, it's everything you loved about the 80s movies made into its own little universe. It's fantastic. I have no idea where they're going to go with season 2, and that's half the fun. I'm in.
Yep. Walking Dead, I touched on in the past that I'm almost worried that it's getting stale, but I think this season they have a chance to bring it back, but based on where they had left off, for this half season, I should say.
Yeah, I think the only saving grace at this point is how Rick is going to defeat Negan. I need to see that, and I think that's going to be the tension and the crux of the story the second half of the season. I think because of that, it's going to lift the season back up, because people want to end on a high note, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a chance to turn it around here. We'll see, but I'm starting to get skeptical of the series for sure.
You're not entirely wrong.
Okay, Star Wars Rebels season 3.5, which I believe, as of this recording, will launch tonight, something.
Yeah, I think so. Last night, possibly. All I know is really recent.
Yeah. This is the first thing to sort of deliver in 2017.
And
Saw Gerrera is pretty much the main lead, the main hook for us right now.
I wouldn't say that anymore. Did you see the trailer that just came out?
Yeah, I mean, so Obi-Wan.
Yeah, how can you say Obi-Wan's not?
Well, because I think Obi-Wan's going to be like the Luke Skywalker of Episode 7. Like, I don't think he's really
shows up like at the end of the series.
Yeah, he shows up at the end. But I think Saw Gerrera is going to be.
But they're already hinting Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul again.
I think that's going to be end of the series. I don't know.
That's fine.
Hopefully not.
That's fine. That's fine.
But, we talked about it. It worked. Our good friend Joe, we talked about it. Like, Maul was so wasted in the past, and they know that, and that's why they're bringing him back. But I'm like, I just don't want to see Maul get killed by Obi-Wan again. Like, that's not how you should do that. But I don't know that they have any other choice.
Yeah, because he doesn't appear in any other films. But then again, he's not really Sith anymore.
Yeah.
He's now this kind of weird guy. Not like a crime lord, but some kind of... He's head of the syndicate of sorts. But he's canon.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm excited about it.
So his surviving Episode 1 is canon now because Rebels is canon.
Yeah. No, I just think that Darth Maul kind of is just... They'll never be able to do what we all wish they wanted to do with him. I almost want to say them trying to make him work may end up holding the series back, but we'll see. I enjoy it. It's an enjoyable series, and it's getting good.
All I know is that I love the movie Rogue One so much that I haven't watched Rebels. I know you've watched more of it than I have, and you're not caught up either, but you're way ahead of me.
I did watch all of the third season, and I've seen most all of the first season, and I've missed big chunks of the second season. I'm
now interested in checking the series out, so I will probably be dipping my toe into season 1.
Okay, so that covers off the TV shows. We're going to jump into sort of our multimedia now books, and I have one topic on video games. We're going to start with the Star Wars Aftermath series. Chuck Wendig, whatever it's called. No disrespect to him. Sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Empire's End, which is the third book in the Aftermath trilogy, which leads up into, not directly into, but it takes place after Jedi and before Episode 7. That series is getting good. The second book was, I think, quite a bit better than the first one. The third one, lots of mystery to be uncovered there. I'm not going to get into details too much, but I'm really excited about it. I think this comes out in February, so again, another early 2017 release.
Man, Star Wars is just taking your money hand and fist when it comes to books. Because you're buying them hardcover first release, right?
Well, some of them I am, but not all of them. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm absorbing their content for sure.
And that's fine. I more power to you. I just, that's a lot of money. There's like $20-25 a book.
Well, look, if we took my pie chart of nerd geek stuff, it's like 70% Star Wars, and then everything else has to take up only 30%. Okay. Yours is much more widespread.
It's very difficult to live my life.
Yeah, I mean, you spread yourself way too thin on stuff that is not any good.
Whoa.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was not. What is not good? You're talking about Star Trek? I will have words.
I think it speaks for itself. I think the audience can figure that out for themselves.
Wow. Well, I was going to highlight just a couple books here real quick. In March, we have The Collapsing Empire coming out by John Scalzi, who, as you may have recall or not, is the author of the Old Man's War series, which I love all of those books, all 6 of them now. This one is not part of that series. This is the beginning of a new universe for him. Basic gist is that the Earth has expanded through wormholes all around the galaxy, and they're finding now that those wormholes are shifting and collapsing, so entire civilizations might not have access to getting back to Earth and other places. They're going to be isolated, so thus the term The Collapsing Empire. That's all I know about it. Not sure if I'll pick it up day one, because unlike Alan, I don't have quite the income to spend on first release books.
I don't know about that, mister. I subscribe to Amazon Prime and Netflix, and I buy comic books, and.
Well, I just don't have a book budget.
Fair enough.
That's coming out at the end of March, on the 21st. The other one is is this the 5th book? 5th or 6th book now? I should research better. Fields of Fire, part of the Frontline series by Marco Clues. That's coming out at the end of February.
So this Frontline series, when you say it's the 5th book, how long has this series... When was the first book released?
I should prepare better. Basically, he's been...
is it old or not really?
He's basically releasing a book a year.
Okay.
So in the last,
So it's not like a Game of Thrones thing where this thing stretches back 10
years.
No.
We're talking like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Give or take.
And is this meant to be... Do you know where is this at in the series? Is it like the final book, or is how long is the series supposed to go?
I thought the 3rd book was the final book, And then when I got to within 100 pages before I was done reading the book, I'm like, they're not wrapping this up in this book. Now the fourth book came out, so I don't know if this is the final in the series.
So a quick synopsis: is this more sci-fi or fantasy, or what do we have here?
It's military sci-fi.
Okay.
Short, less than 1 minute synopsis is that people are out in space. Basically, it was the Russian, Chinese versus the NATO type countries in space. Kind of had a Cold War going back and forth, trying to colonize their own worlds. And then all of a sudden, this other alien species showed up and started kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of had to join together and fight this opponent that they can't beat. And they've only recently found ways to defeat him.
Yep.
And now they're heading for Earth. I think they successfully defended themselves from Earth, defending Earth. And now they're going to take the fight to the enemy.
Okay. And just to touch on one last thing, because I think we don't know yet, but 2017, could the next Game of Thrones book come out? Maybe. I think...
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yeah, I think Martin is sort of taking his time on this one at this point, but maybe it will. If it will, I'm excited. I've read all the books to this point, so we'll see. That might be a 2018 push forward. Going into video games, we don't delve into this topic very much, but because of current timing, Star Wars Battlefront 2 may come out this year. It sounds like they've been talking about 2017 release. I know they would love to release it as a big lead-in to the next movie, so we may get it as a fall release. They've already came out and sort of apologized that the reason the original Battlefront game that's out now didn't have a campaign mode and wasn't a deep enough game was because they were trying to rush it out before Episode 7. So I have high hopes for the next version of this game if it does come out this year.
I've played the first one. I wish it did have a campaign. Simple fact of the matter is, most first-person shooters, people don't play much of the campaign as much anymore. So
yeah, I mean, the existing game, you pretty much have to play it with multiplayer online. I mean, it can get old pretty fast without the multiplayer modes the way the game's currently set up.
All I'm going to say is, I played the beta before it came out, and I liked it, but it wasn't... I prefer Call of Duty, and that's just my own personal preference. However, when on Black Friday they released the Battlefront with all the DLC, I bought it. It was $20. I'm happy with my purchase. I'll probably do the same with Battlefront 2 if that's the case. I don't need it day one.
Yeah, maybe. Depends on when it comes out and how primed I am for Star Wars at the time. But, it's a fun game. I mean, if you just compare it as a first-person shooter, I think there's a lot of things lacking in it. The power of the franchise of Star Wars is what lifted it up for me. I mean, if this wasn't Star Wars, I wouldn't have bought it. And it's because it's Star Wars that I like it so much. So hopefully the next one becomes a better game in and of itself and not just liked because it's Star Wars.
I hope so, too.
All right, so that pretty much covers the things we're going to talk about 2017. Let us know what we missed. As more things become known, maybe things that are coming out late 2017, we may have to touch on them in future episodes. But I think there's a lot there that 2017 could be a good one.
I agree. There's a lot. And, the beginning of every year, it's going to be the next awesomest year in sci-fi and geek stuff. And then, obviously, we'll come back and look at it at the end of 2017 and tell you why it was and why it wasn't. Yeah,
the big question is, we're now with, like I said, your generation, my generation, comic books, video games, superheroes, all this kind of stuff becoming so mainstream is, when are we no longer in the golden age, right? When do we reach critical mass in this? Or does it just keep getting better and better? We'll see.
I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close to the end of the golden age. I don't want it to end, but I got to feel we're in the middle of it right now, and the end is coming.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Not to get dark.
Oh, geez. Nothing like ending on a low note. So anyways, we're going to come back with our closing segment here.
All right, that was what we're looking forward to in 2017. Now, we recognize the last few episodes have been very, very geek-heavy, kind of dense when it comes to geek material.
Yeah, focusing on sort of one topic or line of thought, really.
Exactly. So, next week we're going to lighten the mood a little bit. A little more slice of life. It's still going to be geek-centered because that's who we are, but we're going to talk about what it's like living with a geek.
Or being married to a geek.
Exactly, because we're geeks. We know what we like. We're going to talk to our significant others, and that's all I'm going to say. Well, it's a little teaser for next episode.
Yeah.
They don't even know this is coming yet.
Yeah, this next episode has potential to be highly entertaining. On top of that, we're gonna get back into our segment. Should I check it out? It's going to come back next week. And also, we have a really great topic of our 1 to 10 scale list. We're going to talk about video game consoles, which I think the audience is going to have a lot of opinions on as well. So we're going to get a nice, diverse episode back again for episode 8.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, lighten the mood a bit, and we'll move into this new year with a much more positive attitude. 2016's gone. Nothing but good things coming to 2017. Wanted to reiterate, we're still at SoundCloud.
Yeah, but our real home now for all episodes is YouTube. That's where you can find all of them. If you subscribe to that channel, you'll see them all, no problem.
Yep, once again, that's YouTube. Do a search for WNRD, and you should find us. Full name is WNRD Podcast. All our episodes will be going there first. Feel free to comment. We've already had a few comments from some friends, some co-workers and whatnot. Anything else you got to add, Alan, or are we just going to wrap this things up and see you guys next week then?
Yeah, no, we'll see you next week with a new topic and a fresh new episode.
All right, be seeing you.